Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the PNB&F Primitive Baptist Forum. And I'm on the page of an occultist here, Levitra Cahn. I mean Levite Cahn. You know, it's a fitting name for him since he's so libidinous. But Levite's been outed as having lied about being a Freemason. I know my friend David had posted his recorded conversation with Levite, and Levite basically admitted to, in fact, being that. But I want you to notice the about section of his page. He says, a Messianic Hebrew. Now, if he's trying to use Hebrew in that term, Hebrew in days of old was used to mean a Jew. In fact, I know for a fact with the exposés we've done, I've had someone come forward to me to explain that there'd been a number of private calls with Levite Cahn, or as I've come to call him, Gentile, or Levitra Cahn, Kent. And, old Kent happens to be even more libidinous and more antichrist off camera than he is on camera. In fact, I happen to know for a surety Levite is an absolute hater of Christianity and hater of Christians. Now, Levite has said how do I wish to say it? He believes in the divinity of Jesus Christ. The problem is, that seems to be all he believes about Jesus Christ, if he even believes that. I mean, Levite lies so much, it's quite difficult to understand precisely what he believes. Not to mention, because we've been blowing his cult apart, well, he's not exactly been all that cooperative on this. But mind you, I'm not endorsing this blog here, but they do have quotes from the Talmud, which I'd like to explain. The Talmud is an interesting and most blasphemous book, in that the Mishnah and Gemara of the Talmud came together originally in its first generation during the time of the Babylonian captivity. During the time of the Babylonian captivity, in contradistinction to such texts as Deuteronomy chapters 4, 6, and 12, verse 32, was an addition to the law to try to prevent additions to the law. That is to say, it was a fence around the law. Of course, the law itself was viewed as inspired and holy. Generation 2 had come about, and they said a rabbi could correct a rabbi, but a rabbi could not correct the Torah Biktav, the Old Covenant, whereas they could correct Torah Shebal Peh, the Talmud, Zohar, and Kabbalah. However, by the third generation, with the Lord's first advent, we notice he had come to the point where the Talmud and other traditions of the elders, as the Lord called them, was more important than the law. And actually, the Talmud says that the Old Covenant is for women and children and something for which one will get no eternal reward. Christian Zionists ought to know that it is that they are supporting, or ought to know what it is that they are supporting. Jews believe that Jesus was the son of a prostitute and a Roman soldier who learned witchcraft in Egypt, similar to what the Indian mystics say about the theosophy Jesus allegedly learned in India, which he never did because he never set foot in India, and who beguiled Jews to worship him as an idol. While this myth is more fully enunciated in Toledoth Yeshua, the Talmud also iterates similar beliefs in Shabbath 104b, which we'll look at in a moment, see especially EndNote 19, and Sanhedrin 106a through b. Balaam, a code word for Jesus, also the son of Beor, the soothsayer, did the children of Israel slay with the sword, a soothsayer, but he was a prophet. Rabbi Johanan said, at first he was a prophet, but subsequently a soothsayer. Rabbi Papa observed, this is what men say, she who was the descendant of princes and governors played the harlot with carpenters, referencing Mary. Did the children of Israel slay with the sword among them that were slain by them? Rab said, they subjected him to 4 deaths, stoning, burning, decapitation, and strangulation. You see the citation here. From the Babylonian Talmud, of the two, there's the Babylonian Talmud, as well as the Jerusalem Talmud, the supreme edition, is the Babylonian one. There have been several Talmuds, and, well, like Levite Cahn, they all come out of Babylon. Jesus ridiculed the scribes and Pharisees, Matthew 22:23, Mark 7:12, verses 38 to 40, Luke 11, John 8. This was one of the reasons why the Jews killed Jesus in the New Testament story, and that one of the reasons why the Jewish Talmud says that Jesus is boiling in excrement in hell. The Jewish Talmud in the book Yerubim 21b states, blasphemously, "As to the laws and scribes, whoever transgresses any of the enactments of the Scriptures incurs the penalty of death. This teaches that he who scoffs at the words of the sages will be condemned to boiling excrements. For neglecting the words of the rabbis, one observes death." Complete utter hatred of anything holy. The Jewish Talmud states in Rosh Hashanah 17a that all Christians are going to burn in hell forever. Now remember, Levite Cahn has said, and I quote, "I am not a Christian," and he has complete contempt for Christianity. While I'm not saying that he endorses the Talmud, it makes me wonder if he does not share the same spirit, and if he is not taking notes from the Talmud. But as for the Minim, and all the informers and scoffers who rejected the Torah and denied the resurrection of the dead, and those who abandoned the ways of the community, and who spread their terror like in the land of the living, and who sinned and made the masses sin, like Jeroboam the son of Nebat and his followers, these will go down to Gehinnom, the valley of the son of Hinnom, Gehenna, the infernal portion of hell, the eternal burning hell, the lowest hell, and be punished there for all generations, as it says, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men they have rebelled against me, etc. The Jewish Talmud in the book of Shabbat 116a instructs Jews to burn all Christian books. I wonder why Levite Cahn uses his Restored Names version of the King James Version and his other Masonic version then. Come in here. The blank spaces in the books of Minim may not be saved from a fire, Gentiles, but they must be burnt in their place, they and the divine names occurring in them. Now surely it means the blank portions of a scroll of the law. No, the blank spaces in the books of Minim. Seeing that we may not save the books of Minim themselves, need their blank spaces be stated? This is the meaning. And the books of the Minim are like blank spaces. The Jewish Talmud tells Jews in Gittin 57a, which also permits oral circumcision, that Jesus is boiling in hell in hot excrement and semen, which is his curse for questioning Jewish authority. Then he went and raised Balaam by incantations. He asked him, "Who is it in repute in the other world?" He replied, "Israel." "What then," he said, "about joining them?" He replied, "Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever." Footnote, Deuteronomy 23, verse 7. Then he asked, "What is your punishment?" He replied, "With boiling hot semen." Footnote, because he enticed Israel to go astray after the daughters of Moab, v. Sanhedrin 106a. He then went and raised by incantations the sinners of Israel. Footnote, MS, manuscript M. Jesus. He asked them, "Who is in repute in the other world?" They replied, "Israel." "What about joining them?" He replied, "Seek their welfare, seek not their harm. Whoever touches them touches the apple of his eye." He said, "What is your punishment?" They replied, "With boiling hot excrement, since the Master has said, whoever mocks at the words of the sages is punished with boiling hot excrement." So you see, the other theosophists, the Jews who actually believe in reincarnation, just like their Indian counterparts, and I can document that if necessary, reject the Bible, but they absolutely love their occultic magicians, much like Levite, is punished with boiling hot excrement. Observe the difference between the sinners of Israel and the prophets of the other nations who worship idols. Shabbat folio 32b promises the Jews 28,000 Gentile slaves per Jew in the Jewish end times, not very far removed from Allah's 72 virgins. Resh Lakish said, "He who is observant of fringes will be privileged to be served by 2,800 slaves, for it is said, Thus saith the Lord of hosts." which they do not worship. They actually worship the literal whole host of heaven. They have a very dualistic god like Baal, Asheroth, male, female. In those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all the languages of the nations, shall even take hold on the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, etc. In the Jewish end times, according to the Talmud in the book of Sanhedrin 57a through 60b, all Gentiles must obey the Noahide laws. In other words, Christians will be beheaded when the Jewish temple replaces the Dome of the Rock, and Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Jewish king ascends to his throne in Jerusalem. Now remember, Levite says he believes in the Messiah, but he really reminds me more of John Lennon. I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in Jesus, says he in Imagine. I just believe in me, Yoko and me. The Jewish Talmud in Hagigah 27:8a says that Jews, and especially rabbis, never go to hell, so don't waste your breath. I wonder why Levi's so friendly toward this. Rabbi Abahua said that Rabbi Eliezer said the fire of Gehinnom has no power over the scholars. It is an ad majus conclusion to be drawn from the salamander. If now, in the case of the salamander, which is only an offspring of the fire, he who anoints himself with his blood is not affected by fire, how much more so the scholars, whose whole body is fire, for it is written, Is not my word like a fire, saith the Lord, from Jeremiah. Rek Lakish said, The fire of Gehinnom has no power over the transgressors of Israel. It is an ad majus conclusion to be drawn from the altar of gold. Now remember what Jesus said. Is it the altar which sanctifieth the gift? No, dum-dum. If the altar of gold, on which there is only a denar thickness of gold, is not affected though so many years by the fire, how much less so the transgressors of Israel, who are full of good deeds, as a pomegranate is of seeds. For it is written, Thy temples are like a pomegranate split open. Read not thy temples, Rakatheth, but thy worthless ones, Rednakim Shebak. The Jewish Talmud in Gittin 57b claims that the Romans murdered Jesus, Romans 4 billion Jews, and of course you can go on here, and an alleged genocide. Let's go over to those other two places in the Talmud referenced earlier. Tractate Sanhedrin, folio 106a. And I won't read the whole of it, but I will notice to leave this in the description if I do recall, because I don't wish to make this a long video. The speculation, though, I wish to make is I don't understand why Gentile Cahn makes statements so similar to the Talmud. Why does he make similar statements to the Talmud? This makes no sense to me. He's basically in complete damage control mode now. But this makes no sense at all, my friends. I have no idea why he would say the Talmud is wrong, yet his statements against Christ and against Christ's servants are so similar to Talmudism. I wonder why that could be.